this series, I'll review the first books written about the Sidama people. Many of them were written by outsiders, missionaries, researchers, or government officials. Some describe our culture with respect, others with bias. I want you, the viewers, to decide, are these records of history or instruments of discrimination? We're going to review today two books that shaped how people see the Sidama. The first is by Betana Hotesso, a Sidama scholar who wrote The Sidama People and Their Culture from an Insider's View. The second by Armido Gasparini, an Italian missionary who wrote the Sidamo English Dictionary and the Sidama People and Their Culture. Betana Hotesso's The Sidama People and Their Culture was first written in 1991 and republished in 2013. It remains one of the most detailed books written by a Sidama intellectual, and it quickly became a reference for students, teachers, and cultural activists. But inside the book, especially on pages 112 and 113, we see how his writing reflects and reinforces internal discrimination. He even classifies clans as pure and impure, using physical appearance and inherited social status as markers of difference. These ideas, presented as cultural facts, became a written justification for prejudice, turning the book itself into a statement that legitimized discrimination within Sidama society. Betana Hotesso served as a key source of information, assisting missionaries and anthropologists as a translator and cultural informant in their studies of Sidama society, a role that also created noticeable connections and similarities between his writings and Armido Gasparini's Sidamo English Dictionary and other related works. Now, let's examine what's written inside the book.
በአብዛኛው በደቡብ ኢትዮጵያ ሕዝቦች መካከል እንደሚደረገው ሁሉ በሲዳማም ቢሆን ለጋብቻ የማይፈላለጉ ወገኖች አሉ። እነርሱም ሀዲቾ፣ ሸክላ ሰሪ፣ አዋቾ፣ ቆዳ ፋቂ፣ ቱንትቻ፣ ቀጥቃጭ ወዘተ ናቸው። እነዚህ ሰዎች የእጅ ጥበብ ሥራ ሰርተው ለህብረተሰቡ ጠቃሚ ዕቃ የሚያቀርቡ ሲሆኑ በሌላ በኩል ደግሞ ሲዳማ መሆናቸው እየታመነ ለጋብቻ የተናቁበት ምክንያት ምን ይሆን? ለዚህ ጥያቄ የተለያዩ ሰዎች የተለያየ መልስ ይሰጣሉ። ስለዚህ ሲናገሩ ለጋብቻ የሚናቁ ሰዎች በህብረተሰቡ ዘንድ ተንቀው አስጸያፊ የተባሉትን እንስሳት እንደ አሳማ፣ ከርከሮ፣ ጉማሬ፣ ሚዳቋ ወዘተ የመሳሰሉትን ስለሚበሉ ነው ይላሉ። በሲዳማ ባህል መሰረት እነዚህ እንስሳት ባቴ እርኩስ ናቸው ተብለው የማይበሉ ናቸው። ሌሎቹ ሲናገሩ ደግሞ ሀዲቾ በአጉል ቦታ የተወለደ ዘር ነው ይላሉ። ይህንንም ሲያብራሩ ሀዲቾች በከብት መካከል ሃድሮ ጋጣ ውስጥ።
Let's pause here and look closely at what pure and impure really means in the struggles, identity, and legacy of the Hadicho Sidama defines this story very differently. As described on pages 44, 74 to 76, these divisions were not cultural truths. They were deliberate systems of control. Let's read page 44. Within the broader Sidama society, three distinct social groupings emerged: the Yemaricho, the Wolowicho, and other groups from Bush, Maldea, and Hoffa clans, the Hadicho clan, as direct descendants of Bush. As page 76 described, during this period, the Yemaricho group implemented the Anga system in Sidama with the primary objective of controlling land. This system not only permitted the pure clans to utilize the fertile Hadicho lands but also stripped the Hadicho clan of their birthright or elder status. Bayeninye. Page 74 to 75. Based on these developments, the first divisive conspiracy was referred to as hand purification. Scholars argue that this Anga cleansing system was designed to categorize members of the ethnic group as either pure or impure. Through this system, the Bush descendants consolidated their control over land resources by dividing the population into pure or impure categories without substantive justification. Page 74. Initial division began with the Bush and Maldea group. The conflict between the two resulted in the defeat of the Hawaffa, which had previously begun to develop a division, and the Yemaricho group was dissolved and replaced by the Wolabicho group, as we have seen above. Let's continue with Betana Hotesso's book.
የተወለዱ በመሆናቸው ይናቃሉ ብለው ያምናሉ። አንዳንዶቹ ደግሞ ሀዲቾ የተወለደው በሌላ አኳኋን እንደሆነ ይናገራሉ። እነዚህ የሚሰጡት መግለጫ በድሮ ጊዜ አንዲት እርጉዝ ሴት መንገድ ስትሄድ መሽቶባት አንድ የሜሬቾ የቡሼ ወገን የሆነ ማለት ነው ሰው ቤት አሳድሩኝ ብላ ትለምናለች። የቤቱ ባለቤት ችግሯን ተረድቶ ደር ይላታል። ሴትየዋ እዛው ስታድር ማታ ሐቄት የጎላ የማገዶ እንጨት ወደሚከመርበት አካባቢ ሐሬቴ ከስር የተሳመረ ሬሮ ድብዳብ ከስር የተሳመረ ተነጥፎለት ትተኛለች። ሌሊቱንም ምጥ ይዟት ወልዳ ታድራለች። ስሙም ኔአ ተባለ። ትርጉሙ የተናቀ ማለት ነው። ኔአ የሃዲቾ አባት ሲሆን የሜርቾ ቤት ተወለደ እንጂ የሜርቾ ልጅ አይደለም ይላሉ። በመሆኑም ባባ ሽንሼ ለሞራል ያህል የቡሼ ዘር ተባለ እንጂ የሃዲቾ ዘር ከየት እንደሆነ አይታወቅም የሚሉ አሉ። ከሁሉም ለየት የሚለውና ምናልባትም ለተወሰነ ደረጃ ድረስ እውነት ያለው የሚመስል ሃዲቾና እኛ የተለያየ ዘር ነን የሚሉት አባባል ነው። ይህንንም ሲያብራሩ እኛ ከሃዲቾ ጋር ምንም አይነት ግንኙነት የለንም፣ በመልክም ሆነ በቅርጽ አንገናኝም፣ በምንም ነገር ስለማንም መሳሰል አንጋባም ይላሉ። ልዩነታቸውን ሲገልጹ ወላዊቾ የነጻ ዘር፣ ፊቱ ረጅም፣ አፍንጫው ቀጥ ያለ፣ ከንፈሩ ቀጭን፣ ጸጉሩ ዞማ ወዘተ ብለው ሲዘረዝሩ፣ ሃዲቾ ግን ፊቱ አጭር፣ አፍንጫውም አጭር ሆኖ ቀዳዳው ግን የሰፋ፣ ከንፈሩ ወፍራም፣ ጸጉሩ ከርዳዳ ወዘተ ይላሉ። ከዚህ እንደምንረዳው እነሱ በግልጽ ባይሉም ከአገላለጹ መሰረት ከስር የተሳመረ ወላዊቾ ማየት ሆኖ ሃዲቾ ግን እንደ ናይሎት አድርገው ይናገራሉ። ምክንያቱም ይህ አባባል አንድ ደራሲያን ለሃማየትና ለናይሎት ከሰጡት መግለጫ ጋር ይመሳሰላልና ነው። ለምሳሌ ካውላ ስለዚህ ሲጽፍ
The Sidamas are robust, handsome people, probably because they live in an area that supplies an abundance of foodstuffs.
ብለዋል። ይኸው ደራሲ ስለዚህ ሳያብራ
Hamitic Semitic Ethiopians are of slender build with golden brown complexions, with their shapely thin lips, straight noses, and large dark eyes slightly uplifted at the outer corners.
በማለት ገልጿል።
In pages 28 and 29 of The Struggles, Identity, and Legacy of the Hadicho Sidama, the true history of the Hadicho people is described in its correct form. This section traces their origin from Ne'a, the first son of Bush, and explains how Bush and Malja lived peacefully with the Hawafa people for 7 generations, shaping the early Sidama language and identity. Now, let's read the context inside the book. The Hadicho clan constitutes a significant segment of the Sidama ethnic group, with their lineage tracing back to Bush through his firstborn son, Nea. While historically rooted in this ancestry, the Hadicho have expanded geographically over time. After reading this, it becomes clear how different it is from what we saw in Betana Hotesso's book, a work that turned cultural pride into discrimination and helped divide Sidama society. This truth directly challenges those false writings and restores the real story of the Hadicho people. In The Struggles, Identity, and Legacy of the Hadicho Sidama, as described on pages 28 to 29, the true history of the Hadicho people is presented in its correct and authentic form. Unlike the distorted portrayals found in later writings, this account traces the Hadicho directly to Ne'a, the first son of Bush, whose lineage represents one of the oldest roots of Sidama ancestry. These pages reveal how Bush and Maldia, together with their descendants, lived in harmony with the Hawafa people for 7 generations, a period of rich cultural exchange that gave birth to Sidama Afu, the modern Sidama language. The name Sidama itself arose from this encounter when the king of Hawafa asked Sidama Yino, meaning, "Who shall we say they are?" a phrase of respect that later became the name of an entire people. This version of history, preserved through Hadicho oral tradition and confirmed by elder historian Westo Dasa, exposes the false hierarchies promoted in works like Betana Hotesso's The Sidama People and Their Culture. It restores the Hadicho to their rightful place, not as marginalized outsiders, but as the founding lineage and spiritual heart of the Sidama nation. The second, by an Italian Catholic missionary, Armido Gasparini, lived among the Sidama people for years. In 1983, He published the Sidamo English Dictionary, the first major attempt to record the Sidama language in writing. But inside the book, under the letter H, he used a word that carries clear discriminatory meaning. It might reflect a misunderstanding of Sidama society at that time, a view shaped by his outsider perspective rather than by cultural knowledge. Yet what's troubling is that his publication continues to be promoted and shared on social media even today, without critical awareness of the bias it contains. This shows how words written long ago can still shape, and sometimes distort, how Sidama identity is seen in the present. Hadicho, masculine, pla hadiwo, masculine. Sindwa watichka equals potter. Name of a group of people, scattered here and there, who are potters. Hadiku ade mulenni hankano. He loses his temper quickly, as a potter. Hadiko, F equals the wife of the Hadiko, a woman belonging to such a clan. Hadiwo, me, the pinnacle of the house, made of ornamented clay. In Gasparini's Sidamo English Dictionary, 1983, the entry for Hadicho defines the term as potter, name of a group of people, scattered here and there, who are potters. It even adds the phrase, he loses his temper quickly, as a potter, linking the identity of Hadicho to a stereotype rather than neutral description. This definition does not represent the working class or professional role of pottery. It reflects the social prejudice that existed at the time. Gasparini recorded what he heard, but the information he received was shaped by discrimination, not cultural accuracy. Gasparini's dictionary, though linguistically important, therefore preserved local prejudice in written form. Correcting such entries is essential, not to erase his work, but to restore the Hadicho identity to its rightful meaning as part of Sidama's heritage, not as a mark of exclusion. Now I want to hear from you. Was this book documenting culture or distorting it? Comment below what you think. Should these books still be used in schools and research, or do they need rewriting from our own perspective?